Board.
All right, another blockbuster edition of Life Without Sports. Hi, everybody. Great to see you with Mike. Don't call me Freddie Couples Pacheco. I'm John Mita Perrell.
Nice.
And yes, once again, Mike is situated on his beautiful deck in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am on my 1964 Barker Lounge as I pretend I'm Carol O'Connor in an episode of All in the Family.
Hope that doesn't make me meathead.
You could be meathead. Meathead? What, does she get another appointment with a gynecologist?
Archie!
That, one of those things, I've been watching some TV Land amongst my many collections of what to do during this pandemic.
Yeah.
I just watched a TV Land 60 Minutes. I'm a huge throwback guy for 60 Minutes. I love the old interviews. And I just watched Seinfeld from 1996.
Wow.
He interviewed Steve Kroft.
Steve Kroft.
He was so uncomfortable. He was so... it's almost like he was uncomfortable in his own skin, even at that point when Seinfeld was so popular.
Right.
And it was interesting to watch. It was the Shoshana Lonstein years.
Oh.
And here's the throwaway line, Mike. Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld, 42. Shoshana Lonstein, 21. And an undergrad at UCLA.
It doesn't make him a bad guy.
Not at all, but I forgot that she was still in college.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean,
So I worked with somebody at WHCH Radio, and she had met him. This was like circa 91, 92. So the show was maybe on for a couple years at that point. And I don't think she dated him, but it was, he liked the younger girl. When I say younger, I mean legal.
That's a dangling carrot there.
Yeah.
You don't think she dated him, but was there some extracurricular activity?
I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay. All right. Alleged?
I don't even know how to go far. I didn't have enough to go on to say that, which is why I couched it how I did.
Was she a beautiful member of the opposite sex?
That would be. I could confirm that. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put my investigative skills up to use here.
You're gonna do some.
I'm going to say Seinfeld might have tried to close the deal on that one.
No, that's possible. I can't confirm or deny that there was any continuance of that, but I think hitting on might have been part of the issue. Yeah.
Interesting, but no, certainly doesn't make him a bad man. No. But he's so New York centric. Even he's living in this palace. He called it a hotel in Los Angeles. I think he still feels that way. I know he's bi-coastal.
Yeah.
With, not that there's anything wrong with
that. There's nothing wrong with that.
But that's something you went into during this interview with Kroft. The way they got by using, the assumption. Remember they reported that interviewed Jerry and George and thought they were gay.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they used that. The way they got that through in the NBC censors was every time they talked about them being gay, it was always, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
That line was used every time.
Yeah.
And that to me was fascinating to hear that inside baseball about.
Oh yeah.
Think about it. They had this masturbation episode. They had an oral sex episode. They had that episode. They had the
King of the Castle is one of the best. I mean, that's a classic.
Oh, absolute classic.
I'm out.
The best. Well done.
Thank you.
How about Kramer with the Kenny Rogers chicken? God rest his soul.
Yeah.
The gambler.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Classic.
He couldn't sleep.
Yeah. That was great. I just saw the Chinese restaurant one was pretty funny too.
That was early. That was
early. That was season 2, maybe season 3.
Yes.
And the premise is, and how many times this happened to everybody, where you go to a restaurant, 5-10 minutes, and like you're there 25 minutes, and people are walking in and going right by you. Just brilliantly done. And this is like the kids.
That was Larry David all over that one.
Oh my God! Well, and that's what I was telling you last week. Like I was watching that episode, and just because of how much Curb Your Enthusiasm I've seen, and George in that episode is huge because, and again, kids wouldn't understand this today, Because if you used to want to talk to people when you were out, couldn't call. You didn't have a cell phone. Some people did back then, but you had those big block phones. But you had to use payphones, and like invariably when you needed a payphone, there was going to be somebody on it. When you didn't need a payphone, it was empty. But once you needed that payphone, you went for the payphone. Somebody would like walk in front of you and grab it, and you're like, "What the?"
Yeah. By the way, I was eyeing that for the last 3 miles. Yeah. The best is the guy that would knock on the door of the payphone.
Yeah.
Especially in college. Like,
yeah.
5th floor, East Tower, Ithaca College.
Right.
Give me. I got 5 more minutes, Corey. Okay.
Yeah. No, or so you'd get the tap on the shoulder, and and then you're out of the corner of your eye, you'd see that person coming back, and you just kind of give them the head nod, and then keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. The head nod.
The head nod.
I like it.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. Got you. Hey.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes means 30.
Yeah. Means get the hell out of here. Hit the bricks.
That was it. I tell you a story about my dad and I used to go to a Chinese food restaurant in Waltham. Actually, Newton. It's in the Newton-Waltham line called Yemi. It's no longer there.
Yeah.
And the owners, became friends of ours because we were there so much. It was like we were the Wong family at Kowloon. And it was, they thought our name, we always didn't use Mita Perel because no one ever could pronounce that.
Right.
We did. It didn't have to be a Chinese food place. It could have been any restaurant we went to.
Right.
We always used Stevens.
Yeah.
So it was my dad's name was Steve, and he always used Stevens. So the best was when we walked in the restaurant one day. We sat down. Really nice people. They hooked us up with our poop platter. And the people we know from Weston walk in, our neighbors, and they say, "Hey, the Rita Perels are here." And the owner was like, "Your name is what? You're not Mr. Stevens?" And it just like rattled his cage. Totally, like it was one of those, oh boy, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, how do we explain this one?
Yeah.
Well, it's like Pacheco could be Pacheco.
Oh, Pacheco is like 17 different things. My favorite though was back when you would answer your home phone, and you'd get the telemarketer, and you'd be like, "Yeah, is Mr. Petrichicho there?" Like, "Oh, you just missed him. No, try again later though."
Mr. Paris Chica, Tony Paris Chica for the utility infielder.
Yeah, no, that's good thing about my name though. It has sparked some good nicknames.
Oh, the Fight Doctor.
Well, the Fight Doctor was one. Yeah, the Gowdy clan, VB, his brother Brian. They would refer to me as the Fight Doctor all the time, and that just became Doc. And I remember one time I was out with them, and they're like, "Yeah, this is Doc." It's like, "Oh, you're a doctor?" I'm like, "Yeah, exactly."
You could have used that to your advantage with, some females.
Yeah, I'm a doctor. Really? Then why are you driving that crappy Chevy Cavalier?
Yeah. So why are we taking the tea back to your place?
Why are we walking 10 miles?
Why are we walking? Yeah. We're going to walk from downtown Boston to Arlington?
Yeah. So my son will kill me, but this is funny. So some of the kids at school have started calling him Pachito.
Pachito?
Pachito, because he's got Cheetos, because he's got red hair.
Oh, yeah.
Pachito.
I like it. Pachito.
Pachito.
What is it? The tiger? Cheeto the tiger? What's
Cheetah.
Yeah. I like it, man.
Yeah.
That might stick.
So, and Cheeks, of course, is the long time. That's a big family one. My older brother, Ted, he was Cheeks, and then I was Cheeks, too.
We need to tell the story of the Pachicos at the Super Bowl in Houston.
No, that's...
Is that not for a public?
No, I don't think there's any... I don't think there's any reason to... what happens in Houston stays in Houston.
Stays in Houston. Let's just put it this way. It was a long night.
Long night. Well, not for Jack. He went back to the bookstore. He was hanging out at the library.
Yeah. It was... There might have been...
No, don't even go there. Just... It was
I
fine.
won't even go there.
Yeah,
I'll hold off.
Yeah, it was clean. Nothing, no problems. But
I do think about that trip fondly, though.
Oh, you know what? I don't have it. I could actually put it up there. I found a picture. I think I've sent it to you. but it's you, me, and my brother-in-law Jeff.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
where was that? At the game?
That was at the game, and I didn't recognize this until actually I looked at it and scanned it like 2 days ago. But what's funny about that is, so this, I guess we got to get the setup here. So, for whatever reason, you didn't have a credential to get into the game.
No, and thank you, EI.
Yeah. So the Super Bowl 38 this in Houston, Panthers Patriots. Originally, I was working on the post game show, and originally we weren't going to do a post game from there. So I'm like, well, if we're not doing a show, like, can I at least still go? And and the team was like, yeah, if you want to buy tickets, and nothing in the NFL is free. This is not a knock on the Panthers. I mean, this is like whoever you are, you got to pay for tickets. So, right. but what it allowed me to do was the ability to buy tickets, which was a little bit harder to do. So I got 4 tickets, and I took my oldest brother, my brother-in-law, and one of my best friends. And so somewhere between picking up the tickets and actually getting on the plane, they were like, we changed our minds. Since you guys are going to be down there, we might as well just do a show. So we'll get your credential. Like, don't worry about it. You'll be able to get in, blah, blah, blah. I said, fine. So I was like, and our seats ended up being fantastic, right? I mean, they were like 15 rows up, end zone.
And the winner there was the start of the infamous halftime show.
Yeah.
Was right next to us.
Right.
On a platform.
Yeah.
With Jessica Simpson, who no one knew.
Right, at the time, yeah.
At the time, we all were like, oh, my God.
I mean, you guys were so close to her that you could have reached out and touched her. That's how close you were.
It was right next to me.
Yeah.
And that was the Timberlake Janet Jackson halftime show.
Right. So, anyway, we're like 2 days into this thing, and I think that's when you kind of found out that you didn't have a credential. And we were hanging out, like, you were hanging out with us we were hanging out with you the whole time. In fact, I think I stayed with you the first night before we got our hotel.
You did.
So we concocted this, and it's not a scheme because it was completely legal, but I was like, well, wait a minute. I have a credential to get in the game. Why don't I just give you my ticket? So you sat with my brother, my brother-in-law, and Andy, and then I walked in on my media credential, and it was a weird credential. I've never seen this. I don't know if they still do this, but it was technically, I was only allowed in the press box before the game and after the game.
Is that right? They wouldn't let you roam?
Yeah. So, but then this is like of all crazy things. So everybody in Charlotte knows TC used to be on the morning show. Tom Carey. TC, I ran into him after I saw you, and he had like an extra seat. I was like 50-yard line. I was like, I mean,
TC was like Forrest Gumpian.
Yeah. Typical TC. So TC. So I sat with TC during the game, and I think I came down, hung out with you guys for a little bit, and then I went back to the seats. So I was good to go.
You were big time, though.
Big time, yeah. Big time, yeah. But here's, to me, and now this is going to mean nothing to. It's probably only interesting or funny to me.
Well, this is the genesis of our show.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this picture, and I'm wearing like a what do you call the string that you hold on a credential to, the lanyard.
Lanyard.
Yeah. And so I must have brought a special lanyard that was big enough to hold the ticket, because that's what you were wearing. And I didn't recognize this. I mean, this has been 15 years, right? Never realized this. But so you have a Kannapolis Intimidators lanyard holding the Super Bowl ticket. And I just have this like normal, regular lanyard that's holding my Super Bowl.
I was always a big Intimidators.
You're a huge Intimidators. The Intimidators have gone away.
Well, that was Dale Earnhardt's team, right?
Yeah. Well, so they're going into a new stadium. They built a new stadium in downtown Kannapolis. And for people that don't know, Kannapolis at one time was a huge textile, a lot of towels, linens, and things like that. And about 15 years ago, just the bottom fell out. I mean, it had been slowly, textiles in North Carolina had been slowly kind of dying. But so that they sold, the people that owned, it was Fieldcrest Cannon was the mill. They sold that. And basically, they just sold off that name. So somebody else is making that under that name, but it's not being done there. So a huge economic downturn for that. A lot of people got lost jobs. And then, I don't know, about 5-6 years after that, one of the guys behind the Dole, I can't think of his name right now, but really wealthy guy, started a research kind of a park in downtown Kannapolis. So a lot of the big North Carolina universities have labs there, and it's a big like technology and entrepreneurial center. So they're kind of revitalizing downtown Kannapolis. So they're going into a new ballpark this year, and they're going to be I think the Cannonballers, Kannapolis Cannonballers.
And that, folks, gives you all you need to know about Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Yeah. Home of Dale Earnhardt.
It's 78 tiny seconds by one Mike Pacheco.
Yeah. So yes. And then the Intimidators, the team was named the Intimidators because Dale Earnhardt was part of the ownership group. Right. In fact, and this was the kind of adding to the tragedy, or a part of the tragedy is he just become part owner in like October, and then so he never got to see an opening day. He passed away in February in the Daytona 500, and he was a huge baseball fan. Like it was, he wasn't going to be like day to day involved, but he was going to come to games and.
Yep. I remember that. I remember looking back on that, and we were at spring training. Remember the day after?
Yeah.
We were Dennis Callahan. We were doing Red Sox spring training, and the whole day we spent on Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah.
How what a big tragedy, and also the fact that Jerry's viewpoint, of course, was not of course, but he had a point where it's selfishness maybe on the part of a NASCAR driver at the age of 40 to still be doing it, no matter what age you are, if you have a family. And he felt like that was a sin by Earnhardt because it's pretty much inevitable. You're going to have at least a severe crash, and one might take your life.
Yeah, but they don't think that way.
They don't. That's what the argument was.
Yeah, that's not their. And it's. You think of it this way too. He was still. Maybe he was a little bit past his prime as a driver, but he was still an elite driver. Which is what's interesting now. We're talking about some of these football players, right? Some of these guys like Luke Kuechly having the wherewithal to recognize, hey, this is the right time to step away.
Yeah,
it's a hard decision.
Even Gronk, for that matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Gronk is actually perfect for that, right? Because, you think he probably still has some good years left in him, but I think he was just tired of the grind and,
being injured.
Well, and you hear this a lot, right? When you're doing this as long as we have. Eventually, like the average person, I don't think understands the physical toll. And it's not just the physical toll from doing the games, but it's like getting up and doing rehab. It's it's like that it kind of wears you down mentally too.
The everyday pounding of the body.
Yeah, getting your body back, weekly getting your body back into shape to perform. Then if you do have an injury, doing the rehab.
Pandemic, trust me, I know what that's like. Getting up every day at 4 a.m. My body has been absolutely worn out. So it's tough going like this. I have a real sore thumb.
Yeah, very sore thumb. Yeah.
I have clicker thumb.
You've clicker thumb.
Has anyone gone on the DL for clicker thumb?
Hey, so I know our technical producer Ben Meter-Perel is with you, but do you realize for gamers that carpal tunnel is a serious career-ending potential injury for gamers?
I know. I'm thinking maybe it could be a problem for all of us here. This thing goes along much, goes along much more.
So, what games are you playing?
I play Frogger. I don't play anything. I'm intrigued by
Pitfall, Pong.
Yeah, Pong was a classic. I stopped playing that a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by MLB The Show.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by, those. Obviously, Madden I played. I played a little bit of NBA 2K, very, very little.
Yeah.
I've just never been, even when I was 12 years old, I was never into that.
Yeah.
Atari was just coming out. Nintendo was just coming out, but my parents were like, nah, you don't need that. So I was a huge handheld football guy.
You were a ColecoVision guy.
Coleco guy.
Yeah.
I remember driving to the Cape.
Or in television, was it?
You remember the game?
Yeah. The quarterback.
Bruce Riddick on ESPN has it in the background. In his office.
They re-released that recently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the lights, the flashing lights.
And the soundtrack too.
The soundtrack was great.
Yeah.
He pretended I was Keith Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, Nelly, what a fumble.
I'm calling the game in my head. I'm like, there goes Mina Perel. I'll tell you, he's a big ugly out of Western Mass.
Oh, down the sideline goes Mina Perel. Oh, Nelly.
He's 5'8", 92 pounds soaking wet. But, man, that kid has some moves in the open field.
Runs the 40 in 7 seconds.
7 seconds left. Someday one of his coaches is going to call him adequate.
John Adequate Mina Perel down the sidelines. Oh, Nelly.
There goes adequate. Oh, man. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Keith Jackson, I've been going back on YouTube, listening to some of him. Vince Scully the other night on 1988 World Series.
Yeah.
Game 1.
Yeah.
You listen to that call again. I did it for my class.
Right.
At LaSalle. I played 9 minutes of that call from the time Gibson stood at the plate to the time he hit the home run. Right. It was 9. And that was a master class by Vince Scully.
Well, and that's when Vince lays out for like a minute and a half after the home run, right?
Laid out. Yeah. Perfect setup, though.
Right. Yeah.
Language, imagery.
Yeah.
Ability to set up Joe Garagiola.
Yeah.
All the mechanics of play-by-play that you institute every day with Matt Swear.
That's correct.
When the Knights are playing.
That's right. We should be playing tonight. It's our home opener.
And, ladies and gentlemen, good product placement again.
Yeah.
The Nike swoosh by Mike Pacheco and the Charlotte Knights logo.
Yeah.
Well, whereas this shirt today is brought to you by Target.
It's logoless.
For $9.99, you too could look like a lumberjack.
I'm surprised that's not a Milton's shirt.
Well, now you're onto something. Milton's might have to be involved here very soon.
I'm still waiting for some Milton's gear. I was promised that ages ago.
I did promise you that when we started the BC.
Mikey, next time you come up here, we're going to take you to Milton's. I'm still waiting.
Billy, if you're watching, Billy from Milton's, a loyal member of Mina Perel Nation, all 3 of you. Yeah. If you're watching, Mike Pacheco wants you. Although Milton's, Mike, not open right now. This just in, which is just, you were telling me before the show about a couple, Dr. Oz stepping in it, which we'll get to in a minute. But the numbers, the magnitude of the unemployment now, the magnitude of the closures and people that will file for bankruptcy, and a discussion today in Boston about who's essential and who's not essential. Who's going to decide that? Are restaurants essential? Who's going to open first? What's not going to open? Who's going to make that list? What's the top 40 essential businesses? Is this what it's going to come to? Yeah. Is that what we're going to do? Like, you're important and you're not important. Who's to say?
Yeah. I mean, I think there needs to be a common sense approach, right, and a humanistic approach.
Right.
I understand the economic impact here, and I understand that people want to get to work. We want to get back to work, right? I mean, we'll probably still do this even when we get back to work, right? But as long as we get to 1,000 subscribers.
Exactly. By the way, please.
Yeah, subscribe.
Subscribe to Mike Pacheco on YouTube and John Mina Perel on YouTube, and press that like button.
Yeah.
Checks in the mail.
Actually, subscribe to both. That'd be even better.
Subscribe to both. Yes. Subscribe to both. What else do you have?
What do you have to do? What else is going on right now, right?
What else do you have to watch? That's our tagline,
right. Yeah. But, I think at the end of the day, the deciding factor has got to be what's in the best interest of everybody. Everybody has a little bit of self-interest, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But in something like this, where it's really something that affects everybody, the solution has to be something that for the most part, the underlying emphasis here is to do what's right. Right for everybody.
I know. It's just again, there's so much uncertainty involving, okay, is he right? No, he's not right. Who's the authority? Who's not the authority?
Right.
You know that Fauci sounds good. Does he know what he's talking about? Is he on to something about this bubble thing with Major League Baseball? I know it was kind of just him starting off because he's a Nationals fan, but he said yesterday that baseball, has a possibility they could do it without any fans, and they sequester all their players in a hotel for 2 weeks, and everybody goes back and forth from the hotel. And
right.
It was just his fandom speaking.
Right.
He admitted that. Not that he has like a grand plan with Rob Manfred to get this done.
No, but I think everybody wants to try. I mean, everybody's kind of spitballing right now ideas and how we can get some semblance of life back. I mean, there is value in if you could figure out a way to protect the health of players and bring some of these leagues back. I think that's a great idea. I just don't know that how feasible or how realistic is that right now. Today, no, but they're talking about June, the second week of June, I think, for the PGA.
June 11th.
June 11th, yeah. So that would be the second week of June.
Yes.
But
well done, Merrimack boy.
Hey, Warriors, baby. But so I think that would be something that would be interesting. Is finding that way to get it back, because the great thing about golf, and now I don't think it's going to have like Super Bowl numbers,
No.
but I mean it's going to get more people that just because it's fresh.
Kids still watch.
Right.
You get you and I. I'm not going to watch the whole thing either, probably.
Right.
I'll watch some.
But you'll watch some of it.
It's the Charles Schwab Classic.
Yeah.
Right. That just reeks of excitement.
Right. Right.
But at least it's an event.
Right. But the interesting thing to me would be, like, I've played a couple rounds of golf during the pandemic, so it's like I feel like golf is probably the safest sport that you could cycle back up.
Yeah.
Just because you can keep distancing, and you really don't need. I mean, I guess the only issue more so for the players would be the support staff. I mean, you still need the shot track people, and I mean, I guess you could still do it without it, but the TV crews, like how many you can do, like a full, like Masters, or you can do full like majors production, or you're just going to do what you normally would do. Because I think the first one they probably would want to heavily produce it, but is that smart? Like, is that safe for the whole crew to be doing that? And what about what about people in the truck? I mean, you've been in a television production truck, even the big ones.
Really tight.
Really. So I mean, do you have and I don't know if you can do this, because I'm not. I'll have to ask some of my TV production friends. But I mean, is that a thing where you have multiple trucks so you can like space out where the people are? I mean,
that's so expensive.
I know it's expensive, but think about the ad revenue they're going to get for that first tournament, though. I mean, I think that will offset it.
It could, again, but there's so many implications, so many. It's such a murky issue.
Right.
But hopefully, again, we're on the right track too. And one thing before we started taping this show, I said to Mike, "Did you hear about who died?" He said, "No, who?" And I said, "The legendary Brian Denny."
Man, great actor.
81 years old, from Connecticut, died in Connecticut, supposedly of natural causes.
Yeah.
COVID-19 was not mentioned, but a loss for all humanity, because not only was he Tom Callahan and the great Tommy Boy, one of my favorite movies, but also the Sheriff Teasel in First Blood,
yes,
1992, with Johnny Rambo, Stallone, and that might have been his best role. Throw your Death of a Salesman and your Dynasty and your Tommy Boy, and I'll show you Sheriff Teasel.
Yeah. Great line. I mean, just so many great lines. Great character. He was in so many different things. But because he always kind of played the heavy, right? Like the older,
he was
heavy kind of.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, he kind of typecast is what you're saying.
Right. Yes. Again, not that there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
Guy had a hell of a career, but those types of guys, literally a dying breed. I mean, that classic. He was more than a character actor. He was more of a, just a kind of a lightning rod figure that always had a presence that you knew.
He was in that FX movie too.
You walk out of there thinking, man, Brian Denny, he was really good. I mean, half the time you say, who was that guy? That guy was pretty good.
Right.
You knew who Brian Denny was.
Right.
It's like when I listen to a broadcast. I know who Dave Friedman is.
That's right.
I know who Red Friedman is after he's done with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he was kind of an everyman too. I mean, he was in so many different. He was in so many different movies.
Yeah.
And
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, Jack of all trades. He did a lot of TV too.
He did, and also, there's situation earlier today too with you bring up the Dr. Oz situation. Talk about guys stepping in it.
Yeah,
that was just. I had to listen to it twice to hear what he said. Tell everybody what exactly Dr. Oz said.
Right. So he was on, I guess it was Sean Hannity from last night, and he was talking about kind of like whatever he's talking about, like how do we get things back to normal? Like how do we get up and running? And Dr. Oz said that he'd seen an article in a publication called The Lancet that that to help kind of bring things back to normal, bring kids back to school, and it would be like a 2 or 3% potential mortality rate, and essentially saying that would that would be an acceptable number. Now, in his defense, he did say any loss of life is bad, so it wasn't like he was advocating people die, but it still was a little tone deaf to me that and to extend his thought, the thinking was get the kids back to school. That means a lot of kids that maybe don't have meals every day would get back to being fed 3 times a day and getting schoolwork. But to me, the fact that like anybody would be acceptable with a 2 or 3% mortality rate for kids, I mean for anybody, right? But because if somebody extrapolated that out, if you talked about all the kids in this country going back to school and you took 2 or 3%, it was in the million. It was like $1 million plus, in the millions. Just so you can feel good about yourself, like so you can feel like there's progress being made.
How do you say that with a clear mind? Man?
Yeah.
What do you want when you say that?
Yeah.
But how does that come into your head?
Right. But you know what? I think we've become so desensitized, right? I mean, it's even like, not to get overly political here, but it's like with the school shootings. Like we've become so anesthetized to that. Freedom's not free. Well, the Second Amendment's not free either, and we're seeing that in the price of school kids being shot. March was the first month, I forget in how long, that there hasn't been a mass shooting at a school, and it took a pandemic to do that.
I know. And that's. I mean, what does that say about our society?
Right. Well, it's. I think it's this sense of if something doesn't touch my bubble, then I don't really care. Right, so it's like as long as my situation is okay, I could give a crap about everybody else, and that's kind of the mentality. And I understand it's a bigger argument than that. When you're looking at, that's a bigger picture thing. But to me, when we're talking about, every month there's a school shooting, like that's just not acceptable.
Yeah, I can't even conceptualize that. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But you're right. Unfortunately, it's reality. We are anesthetized, and we are callous. And
I hope that's the thing that comes out of this, John.
It's a reckless disregard for the sanctity of human life. That's what it is. Period.
Yeah.
End of story.
Right.
And also you, Donald Trump. Also you, everybody that has, for instance, Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah.
The other night, or was it yesterday, saying, COVID-1. COVID-1 and COVID-19 are directly correlated. No, they're not. Just think of there was like 18 strains of this. That's why it's known as COVID-19.
No, it's 19 because it started in December.
Exactly. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Stop talking. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do know I have an opinion on these so-called world leaders who are speaking out of their ass. And they're not showing any regard for human life. That to me is extremely problematic.
Well, it's kind of this notion like that there's, it's one thing I think, and not that it's correct necessarily, but in a wartime situation, it's not a case of heart; it's just a case of reality. And what I mean by that is, they knew going into D-Day that there were going to be people were going to lose their lives. But to get to, eliminate the Nazis and get rid of Hitler and, and rescue all the Jews and make this a safer world, that was going to be something that had to happen. But, we're not this isn't a wartime situation. This is, we're fighting it like it's a war. But, this is a situation where there will be people that lose their lives from this, but we got to do everything possible to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, since when is like 100,000 people,
that's okay.
That's okay. Oh, yeah, it's only going to be 100,000.
Yeah.
What? It should be zero.
Yeah.
It should have been zero. It should have been one is too, way too many.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's also horrifying, it's been underplayed a little bit, is the nursing home deaths.
Yeah.
Especially in Massachusetts, I know of one story where a woman could not, first of all, can't even contact her mother. Second of all, mother is not eating, so she can't, she's having trouble running into management at the nursing home. She can't connect with them. There's so many breakdowns in communication. And people are dying left and right without any family present. Some of them are starving, like this woman who's not eating her food for some reason. And her mother can't communicate with anybody at the nursing home. No one will call her back.
Yeah.
And there's so many breakdowns in communication. Like Massachusetts has a dedicated line for nursing home concerns. I don't know what necessarily if it's been effective, but there at least is a line for people to call and say, my mother or father's having a lot of trouble.
Right.
So North Carolina has the same thing. Every state for that matter, because these poor people are dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know they're old. I get it. But that doesn't mean they should die immediately.
Right.
Especially when they weren't, before COVID-19, they were doing okay.
Well, I do think there needs to be, I think everything needs to be re-examined, right? Like, are we doing the right things? And is there a better way to? And I guess sometimes maybe we're always constantly doing this, but I feel like sometimes you get into kind of nursing homes, that's just a place where you put older people and you just don't know what else to do with them, or there's no other options, right? But is that is that the best system? And I think, and I don't mean that negatively. I just think.
How about the cost? They're paying this woman I know is paying us $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at over $94,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can afford that.
Yeah. Well, we went through that with my mom when she was in the nursing home before she passed away. I mean, it's.
I know.
Well, and then there's just some diseases where it's just like, and it's like we're not trying to be Debbie Downers here, but my mom had Alzheimer's, and she'd also had taken a fall that kind of exacerbated the Alzheimer's, but also put swelling on the brain, so she couldn't move.
Yeah,
so it's just
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and no, I know, but it's just like, hopefully we're making advances in Alzheimer's.
This is a major setback, though.
Yeah,
on so many fronts. Yeah. I mean, this thing is really just derailed.
Yeah,
our entire societal structure, and it's not me being dramatic; it's the truth.
Yeah, but that's why I think this is a good time to maybe reflect and maybe try and think about how we can do things smarter and better.
Well, some experts are saying you have to practice social distancing until 2022.
Yeah.
Think about the magnitude of that state.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, I think there are some things you could do.
That's an impact.
Oh, it's a huge impact. But if you think about it, right, there's nothing wrong with trying to have supermarkets be a little bit more efficient, right? So in other words, why not have one-way aisles? I mean,
as long as they don't intercept me when I'm trying to get my ring dings.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or your moon pies.
Moon pies, ring dings. Have you had the vanilla moon pie yet?
Have not had the vanilla moon pie.
Vanilla moon pie is it's a good taste.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I put the chocolate slightly above the vanilla.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the cherry moon pie.
The cherry moon pie. Well, you have had
the raspberry moon pie.
You have had a cheerwine donut.
I have. Mike and I were in a mad dash. We might have been in Kannapolis, by the way. It might have been Kannapolis. At the Kannapolis Harris Theater, a mad dash to find a cheerwine donut after it was publicized heavily 5 years ago.
Well, and to add, and I think this will mean something to people up north, but it was a cheerwine, which is kind of like a cherry soda.
Like Dr. Pepper.
Kinda, yeah. More cherry than Dr. Peppery flavor, but also Krispy Kreme. So it was like a Krispy Kreme cheerwine donut.
It was a delicious combo, you think?
It was a sugar bomb.
It was just even.
It was even too much for you.
Okay? For me, who could gladly eat a bag of Swedish fish and drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Mike, you might have to take me to the hospital after I finish this.
Yeah.
It's an insulin boost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the many adventures with Mike Pacheco on the trail of any food item.
Yeah. Good stuff.
It is good stuff, but while we solve the world's problems,
yes,
we can ask you, Mike Pacheco, what is your Throwback Thursday item?
Oh, you're gonna love this, John. All right, so it harkens back to, believe it or not, and I actually didn't plan this because I was thinking about this last week, and I said I should do this because I saw it on my desk, and then I looked at the date this morning, and I was like, wow, this is like kismet. All right, so I'm gonna hold this up to the camera here.
Oh, my goodness. Holy cow, April 16th, 82?
Yep.
And it's $2.
$2. WBZ Radio. So let me tell you the story. So my buddy Bob Asarian.
You were way too young to be working there.
No, I wasn't working. But Bobby's mother, Mrs. Asarian, was a huge WBZ Radio. And get this, when I say this name, huge Larry Glick fan. Now, I would later go on to produce Larry Glick. I was Larry Glick's last producer on WHH Radio. There's foreshadowing in this tale.
There is foreshadowing.
So they had these tickets to give away, and she kept calling. Finally, she wins. She wins 4 tickets. I think it was either 4 or 6 tickets. So we went to this game, and I didn't remember everything I'm about to tell you, but I can tell you that I did remember it was against the Blue Jays. Unfortunately for the Reds, it was a noon game. Unfortunately, the Red Sox lost 2-0.
Oof.
And the winning pitcher that day, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Luis Leal.
Yeah, Luis Leal.
Luis Leal, yeah.
Luis Leal.
Yeah.
He was 55 for the Blue Jays.
He had a couple like 12, 13 win seasons. That year he finished 12 and 15, but 7-hit shutout, pitched 8 innings. Red Sox lose 2-0.
And Tony Armas was 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts?
Tony Armas was not in the lineup that day, but I can tell you that Jesse Barfield hit a 2-run triple.
Oh, a young Jesse Barfield.
Scoring Hoskin Powell and Ernie Witt.
Was Damaso Garcia, the late Damaso Garcia?
He was the leadoff hitter. He went 1 for 4 with a strikeout against Dennis Eckersley. So a couple things you're maybe not going to see in today's game, right? Dennis Eckersley had a complete game, 9-inning loss, 7 hits, 2 runs, struck out 5.
I bet he remembers every pitch.
Absolutely, he does. Game was. This is my favorite stat of the whole thing. 2 hours and 4 minutes. Noon start.
That's what we're looking for.
We were back in Arlington by 3:15.
Oh my God! 2 hours and 4 minutes. That's a money shot right there.
Yeah. I think I had like 2 hood. I think I had like 2 Hoods ice cream sandwiches at that game.
The sports bars.
The sports bars, yeah.
Harry M. Stevens sports bars.
My favorite was I went back home. This was probably 6-7 years ago, and I guess they started selling them in the supermarkets. And so I opened the freezer one day at my dad's house, and there it is, Hood sports bar. He had a box of them, yeah. I was in delight.
Nice job,
yeah, no, it's great.
That is tremendous. And of course, you bought one of those painter's hats with all the names of the Dooney and the Getty and the Hoffy.
So I probably should. I don't know if I got to find this, but I also have. Maybe I'll save this for another day. But I went to Yaz's last game.
Oof, which is a classic.
Well, there's a story behind that too. Well,
running around Fenway and did you touch Yaz's hand?
We tried to. Yeah, we tried to. But that's a story for another day. But
can't do that now. Social distancing.
Can't do that now. No social distancing.
Nope.
Yeah. But how about that? $2 for the bleacher seats.
That's amazing. That's what I was just going to say. $2.
Section 38, row 34.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, it's pretty high. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was straightaway center.
You were right below the big scoreboard, the big basis board.
Well, and now, you can't sit there for a day game.
No, it's a batter's eye.
Yeah.
that's $2.82. I think my dad and I had season tickets for a couple years in the '90s, and its tickets were maybe $12.
Yeah.
$12, maybe 15, sitting on the first base side. So it's amazing now that the estimate is the Red Sox are going to lose $200 million if there's no season in gate receipts.
Yeah. That's crazy.
More money for a billionaire to lose.
Yeah. That's crazy. So, but you know what's funny, though? When we were kids, I mean, I was always a bleacher. I think one time somebody that was friends with my mom gave us box seats on the third base side. We thought we were in the high cotton.
Yeah, those are big time seats, man. I was fortunate. Our good friend Rob Rudnick.
Yeah,
family with Rob, right? 4 rows behind the plate.
Now sometimes we would get the grandstand seats that were like the blue seats that were underneath the overhang, like higher up.
Yeah, that's where my dad and I had seats.
Yeah, those are good seats.
The good thing about those blue seats were they're made for 1918 bodies.
Yeah.
So when I was 110 pounds, I was okay. Yeah. Not so much.
So we this was probably around that same vintage, might have been plus or minus a year or two, but we went in the summer with Arlington Recreation, and it was like, I want to say it was like a 3 o'clock or a 4 o'clock game, and we all came home and we had like sunburns on like one side of our face.
Hey kids, what'd you do today? I got a suntan on one side of my face, Dad.
Yeah, in that roughly that same section.
Well, it's funny, camp stories at Fenway. I was thinking back to this when I saw watching a Red Sox game the other night. It might have been from like '86 on Nesson, and of course an old game. Dave Stapleton's playing.
Yeah.
Dave Stapleton, who was like this real kind of awkward looking player. But I loved him because I always hit like him.
Oh yeah.
Rex.
So you're saying he was adequate?
I tried. He was adequate. Yes. My dad always be like, just chill, Dave Stapleton. Nice compact swing, upright at the plate, short stride. All right, Dad, I got it.
I got it. Yeah.
Strike three, bro. Couldn't hit Rashid Ashraf in Western Little League, but so Stapleton's playing, and one of the first memories of my Fenway experience, even though I was at a bunch of games before this, was Camp Kenwood, where I went, as you know.
Yeah.
The camp director, Arthur Shernow, used to bring kids to Fenway from Boston before to get acclimated with each other to a game. And the game we went to, Dave Stapleton had 2 home runs.
Wow.
Right over the wall. I think it was a career high. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I had a Dave Stapleton glove.
Yeah.
That was my welcome to Fenway moment.
Well, John, on this day in 1982, in a 2-0 loss to the Blue Jays, Dave Stapleton played first base, went 0 for 4.
I love the box score research.
Oh yeah, I did some. Let's see. Jerry Remy led off, played second base. Dwight Evans was in right field, went 0 for 3 that day.
How'd Rice do?
Jim Rice 1 for 4 strikeout, played left field. Yaz was DH, 0 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Carney Lansford at third base was 3 for 4. Raised his average 750. Yeah. We already mentioned Stapleton. Gedman was catching, went 0 for 4. Glenn Hoffman, another one of your favorites, was at shortstop, and then Rick Miller was in center field.
Mike, we're having a technical issue.
What's that?
There you go. You're much better now. You were a little muddy there earlier.
Oh, it was muddy. Maybe that was your internet.
We apologize. It could have been.
I don't know. I thought I looked great.
Could have been the gerbil in your internet connection.
I should probably make sure the dogs are still in the yard.
Yeah, you left this earlier. I'm like, oh, good. I'm bored Pacheco officially. Now life without sports.
Oh, okay. So now you're
we've accomplished our goal.
You're unraveling the onion. So I can switch screens here. So when I did that, I actually did just a solo shot on you. So in the recording.
Oh, very, very savvy.
Yes. So now you've shown me to be the Oz that I am behind the curtain.
Look at you, George Lucas.
Well, the one flaw we get Ben to work on this is it's not a two-way. Like you can't see the program feed that we're recording on. You can only see the Skype return. So like when I put up like our names and our Twitter and stuff like that, you can't see that. You can't see any of that until you watch the final product.
You lost me at split screen. I trust you. But I thought it was interesting. Here I am looking at Pacheco. He's gone.
I didn't. It's funny. I didn't even think about that. I was like, I better check on the dogs.
I'm gonna go start the grill. I'm just gonna talk to myself. Just kind of with the touch of difficult. Just keep going. Next step, Randy speaking is your friend. Hey, Mike, what's up? Mike's like, yeah, I got an Uber coming.
Yeah. Is this thing over yet? What time is it?
This thing over yet? It's like, hey, you know what? It's all right. I get it.
Oh, God, that's funny.
But, it's been that type of show. What can I tell you?
That's hilarious.
It's a Throwback Thursday. Well done with the box score.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Tommaso Garcia.
Yeah.
Old Roy Halladay did not play with Tommaso Garcia. That is an unbelievable thing right there. Game number 4 of the 82 season. That was a very mediocre Red Sox.
Still pretty good shape. A little worn around the edges. Oh, here's this.
I think I have a few of those. Remember that? No money refunded.
No money refunded.
Yeah. Without the express written consent.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do that. Life without sports cannot be rebroadcast in any form without expressed written consent of John Meter-Perel or Mike Pacheco.
Except if you like us at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah,
you can do what you want.
Yeah, or if you want to sponsor us. I mean, we'll gladly let you rebroadcast it.
Sponsor, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Those are the options.
Yeah, we're available for commercials, endorsements.
Bar mitzvahs.
Bar mitzvahs. Yeah.
Bat mitzvahs.
Well, virtual bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs.
Bar mitzvahs.
Yeah, it'll have to be a Zoom bar mitzvah.
Anything you need. We can do a Zoom bar mitzvah. And, plenty of good Zooming for me.
Yeah, we're good at Zoom family reunions. What else?
We give good Zoom.
We give good Zoom. Nice.
You know that Larry David is sitting on this.
Oh, big time.
If there is another Curb Your Enthusiasm, which we hope there is.
But he was like, was he not like built for this though? Like he was kind of social distancing before people were. And the Purell, remember in the final episode, the Purell gets burned up.
Purell at the
Spite store.
At the Spite Larry's Lattes.
Larry's Lattes, Spite store. What a great that's so funny. Like just
it is. Like you can't appreciate the genius in that. Yeah. Something is wrong with you.
But it also doesn't. It also kind of pokes fun at wealth, right? That you're that wealthy that you could just. I mean, and I know it's a television production, right? So, but if you think about it, like
it is true. I mean, the guy's worth $100 million.
No, but I mean, think about it, right? Like for you to like, I mean, that's probably even though it wasn't a franchise name. I mean, probably sunk close to $200,000-$300,000. Like if that was a real business. To do a Spite store on that scale to what he was doing, he probably would have, in real life, would have had to have spent a minimum of like $250,000, maybe even more, because it's LA, so maybe it's even
more.
Yeah.
Just for rental.
But can you imagine having the FU money to spend like $500,000 just to spite somebody?
Just to say, hey, Mocha Joe, take this.
Yeah. Of course, and that's not even counting the settlement.
Right, exactly. Settlement with
right. So now you're looking at what, $2-3 million? The house next door.
At $98 million.
Yeah.
Close to $100.
Yeah.
But so Roy Halladay's story, we can get it's depressing.
Yeah.
Touched on some depression today.
Yeah.
But just when I read it, I said, "Oh no, please don't tell me that he was on amphetamines and." He was evidently had a pretty bad habit, not as good a habit, a continuous habit of using drugs.
Yeah.
When it happened, everyone kind of thought, well, that seemed kind of fishy. How that happened? He's doing stunts, like he's a F-15 fighter pilot, and he's buzzing the water, and he's he's out of control.
Yeah. It's sad. But you know, there was, and this is not condoning by any stretch of the imagination, but just, reporting what we've heard in the past. But, there was, I mean, they've taken that stuff out of the clubhouse. I mean, there's, rife with stories of over the years, going back into the 70s, where they would have, basically, like we would have like a candy dish. I mean, they had like dishes of amphetamines, the greenies.
Yeah.
I heard a tale, and I won't mention what team it was, and it could have been multiple teams, probably was, but there were some teams that would have different colored coffee pots, like the handles. And for the sake of the story, let's say the normal handle was the regular coffee, and the orange one was the one that had greenies in it, amphetamines.
Oh, nice. Kind of like you when you walked in the Red Sox clubhouse. They're like, "Hey, Pacheco, here comes the green handle. You got Skittles in there."
Skittles.
The red handle. Yeah, you can maybe find some M&Ms.
Yeah, that'd be bad if you grab the wrong jar. You see, you got Skittles. All of a sudden, you got.
Here's how sick I am from a candy perspective.
Yeah.
I just said those words. I'm like, shit. I gotta go to Walgreens now.
Yeah.
I gotta fix.
Yeah. Don't forget your mask.
I gotta wear my mask to Walgreens.
Yeah.
That's an essential item, right?
That is an essential item. That's definitely a reason to leave the house. Skittles.
You know what I couldn't find the other day was red vines.
No red vines, huh?
Red vines.
Did they have Mentos?
Walgreens always has Mentos, but I'm not a big Mentos guy.
You used to be a Mentos guy, didn't you? That was like Mentos were like that was like your dollar beer, like that. That's like when you couldn't find anything else, and all they had was Mentos, you'd crush them.
Yes. Well, no, I was always a sweet.
You're a sweet tart guy.
Sweet tart guy, bingo. Sweet tart, except the blues for a while. I used to always give those up, and now I eat the blues. And then.
Hey, when you have the blues, you eat the blues, right?
Right. Perfect time for it now. Spree.
That's That's what I was. It was not Mentos. It was Sprees.
Spree.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in your hot zone too. Admit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go down to the Arlington 5 and dime.
Yeah, go to Balich 5 and dime. And we had a Ben Franklin too. So there was a Ben Franklin across the street, and there was a Balich 5 and dime.
Yeah, you probably went there after the Red Sox game, which took 2 hours.
Probably. Yeah. Probably used my last dollar to get like 20 Snickers bars,
or stopped in for a wax pack.
Yeah, or I I used to like the caramel. Remember the
Topps baseball pack?
The baseball card. Yeah. This is probably not funny, haha. But so we bought. They didn't have them at the store, so we actually ordered it from Amazon, like a pack of like 30 packs of baseball cards. So they came like a week ago, and so we were going to open them together, and my wife's like, "Make sure you save me the gum," and I'm like, "I don't think they do that anymore." It's been a while since.
If they do, it's been there since '87.
Oh yeah. No, if they do, it was from April 16th, 1982. Remember that gum? It would be so like hard.
I love the gum.
I know.
It was special though. I told you
it was brittle.
Which we are efforting, which isn't a word, but I love to use it.
Yeah.
Brad Baluchian, who just wrote this book called The Wax Pack.
Yeah.
It's sold out. It's in its second printing. And it's the basis of the book is he opens up a pack of 1986 Topps cards.
Oh.
With the gum.
Yeah.
Which he had saved or someone gave it to him. And he's like, man, I got to do a book on every guy in this pack I'm going to go find.
Really?
I'm going to see where they are now.
Wow.
And that's the genesis of the book. And it is a fascinating read if you love baseball. If you don't. It's a lot of father-son themes.
Yeah.
Not so much fathers for these players in their lives, which is awful.
Yeah.
Gary Templeton's one of them. Steve Yeager's another.
Steve Yeager, yeah.
Rance Mulliniks.
Speaking of Rance Mulliniks, he was the third baseman in that game on April 16th, 1982 for the Blue Jays.
Folks, this is all about unity. This is all about cohesion. This is all about closing the circle of the show.
Ben, put this in the promo.
Ben Vitaparel, technical director. This is promo worthy. What was Mullinik's line?
No, you said like Rance Mulliniks was one of the guys in this book.
Yeah, well, how did he do that day?
Oh, he did. He was 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Played third base.
Probably platooning with Garth Orge.
Actually, at 2:52 on April 16th, in a 2-hour and 4-minute game that started at noon, he was probably on his way to Daisy Buchanan's.
No doubt. No doubt. And yeah, he probably,
the late days of Buchanan's. That's not open anymore, right?
The late days. I think they almost changed the name to Derek Lowe's.
Yeah, he was quite the regular there.
He was the mayor of Daisy.
He was the mayor of Daisy Buchanan.
You know what they talked about in Chicago? Ryan Dempster had those similar tendencies.
Yeah.
He would run around Lincoln Park bars at some points naked.
Wow. Is that bad?
Like midnight plus.
Yeah.
They called it the Dempster Midnight Run, I think. And, you know, Pacheco in his glory days.
No, I never went streaking through the quad. That was
streaking?
there's certainly no video of that. I'll tell you that.
Well, you were Frank the Tank.
I was Frank the Tank. Hold on, come
on. Oh, here he goes. He's going to leave the screen again.
Oh. No, that's a good goal.
Oh, look at that. You can love your dog, but you just can't love your dog.
All right, you got to get down.
Which dog is that?
That's Faith.
Faith.
We haven't waited, you know, because of this, we haven't been able to take her to the vet, but, I mean, she's fine, but we haven't weighed her in a while, but I'm guessing she's probably 50 to 60 pounds, maybe.
She's eating well during the...
No, but she's not fat. She's just, like, when I tell you this dog could pull you and me on a sled right now by herself.
She's toxic.
She's a husky.
Literally and figuratively, yes.
Yeah. No, I mean a purebred, full-bred husky.
Purebred husky?
Yeah. Hold on, I got to let her in the house. You got to vamp for about 30 seconds. You have to. It's just you on the screen right now.
Mike, take camera 2. All right, well, Mike lets Faith Hill into the house. Speaking of the Washington Huskies, how about that Jacob Eason, quarterback eligible in the NFL draft? Jacob Eason is going to be a late bloomer. He's a project. I'm talking about Jacob Eason of the Washington Huskies.
Oh, yeah.
Because, see how I do this?
Yeah, that was a good.
Husky to Husky?
Husky to Husky, that was good. I thought maybe you were going to go like Northeastern Husky, but...
Well, I could have done that too. I could go deep with you on the Northeastern Huskies. I could go way back.
Way back.
But speaking of the draft, we will get knee-deep into that next week. We have some special guests on the docket too next week. One hint from Hollywood.
Ooh.
Yes, and we're talking, he is a major A-lister and rising in Hollywood circles.
Yeah. And you know, it has, God, I mean, he had an ABC sitcom, and he's been, on the scene for about 15, 20 years now? Like, he's had a pretty good career.
Close to 25.
Yeah.
He's been, it's been a meteoric rise.
Yeah.
You know, and then guys like Mike and I, and we're just sitting here talking to ourselves. Our life without sports. But we're entertaining ourselves.
We are entertaining.
We like to entertain you.
Yeah.
And Mike, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir, John. We'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
We'll see you tomorrow. Remember to like us at the bottom of your screen. Subscribe to us. Check out Mike Pacheco's YouTube and John Mita Perrell's YouTube. He's Pacheco. Don't call him Pachito. I'm Mita Perrell. Don't call me Mr. Stevens. And we'll see you again tomorrow on Life Without Sports.
So long, everybody.